the opportunity to present a lesson. And tonight I want to go back, and I'm teaching with Jeff the 5th and 6th grade class, and we're in one of my favorite books where we're talking about the United Kingdom, and we're talking about the judges, and the book starts off with Samuel, and then it gets into Saul, then it gets into David, and all of these amazing stories that we can learn so much from. And sometimes we look at those books and we're like, wow, that was great whenever I was in 5th grade. Those are stories and lessons that we can all learn and apply to our lives. And the very first lesson that it starts off with is about Hannah and the prayer that she offers. And so whenever we were downstairs, I had a whole diagram, but there's nowhere for me to draw a diagram, so hopefully you can just follow along with me a little bit. But we have a man named Elkanah. Elkanah was a faithful man who yearly went and offered to the temple. He was a man of God. He followed God, and he had 2 wives. One was named Peninnah, and one was named Hannah. Peninnah had many children. She had sons, she had daughters. Hannah had no children. But Hannah was Elkanah's favorite wife. And Peninnah didn't like this. And so she mocked Hannah. She would make fun of her. She would rub it in her face that she had children and Hannah had none. And this got to Hannah. It bothered her. It almost drove her crazy. And in her darkest moment, as they're sitting in Shiloh worshiping, she goes into the temple, and I'm going to read in 1 Samuel chapter 1, starting in verse 9. It says, "So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by a post of the temple of the Lord. And she was in a bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore. And she vowed a vow, and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the afflictions of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man-child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. And Eli said unto her, How long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thine wine from thee. And Hannah answered and said, No, my Lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have drunken neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. We see Hannah here in her darkest moments, the time where she is put down as far as she can go. She has reached her limit and her breaking point. And her reaction is to pray. She could have been spiteful. She could have been aggressive. She could have been petty back to Peninnah. She could have done all of these different things and reacted several different ways to what she was facing. But instead, her response was to go to the Lord. And sometimes, for me at least, it's really easy when the world knocks us down, when the world gives you a hard day, whenever the world puts something in your way, just to complain about it, just to whine about it, to throw a pity party, to get back at those people that are making your life difficult. The other day, I had a day where I just walked out of the dental school. I was like, oh my goodness, don't know that I can do this anymore. And I spent the next 35 minutes of my drive home ranting to my mom and Alicia about it. And sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes there's days where you just need somebody there to listen to you, to hold on, and to help you through something. And the beautiful thing as Christians is that we have the all-powerful God who is always there to listen to us. When times get tough, whenever you have struggles that are facing you, that are bringing you down, that are bogging you and weighing you down, your first reaction should be to go to God. Just like Hannah did, she poured her soul out to God. She gave everything that she was holding in, all the struggles, all the tribulations, all the trials. She laid them at God's feet, and she knew no matter what the answer was, she had given it to God. Luckily for Hannah, we see Eli's answer after her prayer, where he says, Go in peace, and the God of Israel shall grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. And she said, Let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad. Eli tells her this, and she instantly is happy again. She instantly knows that God is going to answer her prayers. So as we go through this week, as we go through our lives, when we face times of struggles, times where it feels like the world is just kicking us, we have an option. We can respond as the world does. We can kick back. We can get angry. We can have all these reactions. Or we can take that and we can pour our soul out to God, as Hannah did, and get Him on our side. Because we know when God is on our side, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. So tonight, you may be facing struggles. You may be facing hard times that you need a prayer for. That you need the congregation to get behind you, give you that strength, and to pray for you. Or maybe tonight you haven't been baptized yet, and you don't have that avenue, that connection to when the world gets hard to be able to go to God in prayer. If you have any needs of the congregation, please come forward as we stand and sing. Almost